A lot of people ask why I don't play games instead of watching my boyfriend, and I always tell them the same thing.
How dare you speak to me?
The reason I don't play most games is not because of the patriarchy or because they are male fantasies.
I wrote a blog post a while ago about why I f***ing hate video games, because this is what it does. It appeals to like the male fantasy.
But simply because I'm bad at it. I'm playing. Oh no. Uh-oh, how do I go down? There's something my boyfriend calls video game literacy, and I'm at about a 2nd grade level. What's the punch button? Cube?
Square. Cube? What console are you playing? Is it the year 2800?
I can catch butterflies all day, but when The Witcher 3 hands me an Excel spreadsheet, this is what I see and I need a nap.
You get used to it. I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
So I let my boyfriend handle all that stuff while I sit back and enjoy the story and the highs. However, one thing I can do is point and click, which means first-person shooters on PC are in my curriculum. It'll never happen for me on console though. No matter how many nipples I put on the sticks, I just can't do it. That's why when it came time to capture footage for today's episode, my boyfriend finally convinced me to play one of his favorite games. So this isn't a review of what it's like to live with someone who plays Bioshock. This is a review of Bioshock. Today's episode was directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I've watched my boyfriend explore a lot of amazing places. A fantasy world with monsters, a fantasy world with monsters, a fantasy world with pocket monsters, and a fantasy world with monstars.
They felt that on Moron Mountain.
But Bioshock is hands down the most creative fantasy world with monsters I've ever seen. Basically, Ayn Rand and Walt Disney had a super rich baby named Andrew Ryan, and he was like, is a man not entitled to the milk of his cow? So he built a secret underwater capitalist utopia called Rapture, where the world's best and brightest could thrive without government or religious interference. But that meant everything was privatized, including oxygen, and the poor people were like, what is this, Total Recall? And then a mobster named Fontaine got them addicted to a drug that could alter their genetic code, which started a superpower-based arms race and lower-class uprising ending in civil war and the collapse of society. Then you come along in a plane crash and are like, oh, thank God, a lighthouse, and then are like, oh, actually, it's Gunga, even better. And then are like, nope, it's Nightmare Disneyland for objectivist crackheads. Perfect.
Is it someone new?
You said this wasn't a spooky. So yeah, Bioshock is a masterclass in world building, and not just because it's conceptually ingenious. It is so narratively and artistically detailed that in nearly every corner, glance out of a window, or enemy encounter, you'll find a jigsaw falling into place. And the harder you look, the more coherent the puzzle of Rapture becomes. Any question I had always had an answer. Why don't they run out of air? Oh, there's a forest district that supplies Rapture with oxygen. Wow, this is cool. Where do they get their electricity? Oh, there's a geothermal power plant that gets energy from volcanic vents. Neato. What is the purpose of Big Daddies? Sir. Oh no.
I am your big daddy, and I am gonna kiss the boo-boo.
Oh. Maybe it's because Bioshock is the only single-player game I've ever finished.
Shelby's crying.
But I've never felt more immersed in a fictional world than Rapture. In fact, the most immersion-breaking part of the game was me, cause I'm bad at it. Did I get it? Oh! Mama! It's a pretty straightforward corridor shooter with some RPG elements, but I was not prepared for the spookers. No. Absolutely not. Why isn't this in the survival horror genre? Ah! God, no. Am I struggling to survive? Yes. Am I horrified? Ah! Yes. Even later in the game, when I had more powers than Jack and more guns than John Wick, it took a lot of courage to play. I'd just be digging in a trash can and I'd hear a lady in the hall yell something confusing like, "You're not my wife!" And I'd tell my boyfriend to take over while I hid in the bathroom.
I can do anything.
And it's pretty discouraging to watch my boyfriend because he's like a freaking video game ballerina compared to me. Look at you go.
Nope.
Oh, so this is what Bioshock is supposed to look like. Don't mess with my boyfriend.
No, not the beast! Not the beast!
My strategies were pretty much the 1-2 punch. I'm sorry. Hunker down in a corner. Oh, God. Stop it. And hack everything. But, oh my God, I hate this minigame. What were they thinking? Hey, you know how we made the most immersive game ever and with a mind-blowing plot and groundbreaking gameplay? And you know that game from middle school computer lab called Pipe Dream? Well, what if every 2 minutes, Bioshock was just that? This has to be one of the biggest goofs in video game history. I know you don't have to hack stuff, but I mean, how are you gonna not want a team of flying robots? They're so cute, I love them. Little bumble bots, little helicopter heads, beeping and booping. Ugh, worth it. My favorite part of the gameplay though are big daddies and little sisters.
Look, Mr. Bubbles, it's an angel.
I've never seen so much lore and ingenuity crammed into a single game mechanic before. Hey, idiot. Big Daddies were the construction workers of Rapture, which explains their appearance, drills, and rivet guns. There are different types of Big Daddies too, making each fight require different approaches. Every time I saw a little sister, I was like,
who is your daddy and what does he do?
and once you get all the little sisters in an area, the Big Daddy gets so lonely, it makes me want to cry. Oh, best enemies ever. Okay, people, getting into the plot now. So if you haven't played Bioshock, shut off your YouTubes because it really should be experienced and not ruined by my stupid video. Basically, once you enter Rapture, a guy named Atlas calls you on the radio and says he wants to help you get out if you help him get out, but there are signs everywhere that say, who is Atlas? So I'm pretty suspicious, and Andrew Ryan thinks you're a spy from the surface and sends security systems and crackheads after you, so Atlas is like, would you kindly do some heroin? And now you're a crackhead too, but it's worth it because bees! Then when you finally meet Andrew Ryan, he's like, guess what? I'm your father, and you're like, no! And he's like, and you're only 4 years old, and you're like, get out! And he's like, also, you're a slave, and would you kindly is a mind control trigger, and you're like, oh, that makes sense actually, because Atlas said that a bunch of times and I murdered a lot of people. Then Ryan says a man chooses, a slave obeys. Oh, I don't want to be a slave. Oh, this is a pretty cool plot twist though. Oh, this is the best ending ever, but hold up a minute. Atlas was Fontaine the whole time, and he's been hoarding Adam to become half Dr. Manhattan, half what Scarecrow sees at the end of Batman Begins, and you're like, oh my god. But you just gotta squirt him with some electric gel and it's super easy, and if you rescued all the creepy kids, they go to college. The end. And I did it.
Your first game you ever beat on your own.
Yay! I'm crying. Rapture, below the sea, splicers try to kill me. I found some Eve, so taste my beefs. Rescue little sis, kill Big Daddy.